You have never been in this room before. The walls are unfamiliar. The light is strange. Yet every nerve in your body swears you have been here. You know what the person next to you will say before they open their mouth. For 2 terrifying seconds, you are living a memory that never happened. Then, the feeling evaporates as quickly as it arrived. We call it déjà vu. The French phrase literally translates to already seen. Approximately 97% of humans have felt this ghostly sensation at least once. For centuries, philosophers thought it was proof of past lives. Others believed it was a temporary glitch in the fabric of time. But the biological truth is much stranger than magic, and it is happening deep inside the folds of your own skull. Why does your own mind occasionally lie to you about time? To understand the illusion, you have to look at how memory is recorded. Your brain is not a video camera recording reality on tape. It is an active biological construction site. Every second, millions of sensory inputs flood your temporal lobe. This data pours into a seahorse-shaped structure called the hippocampus. The hippocampus is your brain's chief historical archivist. It decides whether an event belongs in the trash or in long-term storage. Right next to it sits the rhinal cortex. The rhinal cortex works as a simple familiarity detector. It sounds an internal alarm whenever something feels recognizable. Usually, these 2 brain regions fire in perfect unison. You see your front door, the familiarity detector fires, and the hippocampus retrieves the memory. But what happens when those 2 systems drift out of sync? Can a feeling of recognition exist without an actual memory to support it? In 1896, French psychologist Pierre Janet first tried to study this neurological misfire. He called it a momentary lowering of mental tension. But for over a century, science could not test déjà vu in a laboratory. It was too unpredictable and vanished too quickly. Then, in 2004, researcher Alan Brown at Southern Methodist University changed everything. He analyzed decades of clinical reports and demographic surveys. Brown discovered that déjà vu is rarely triggered by conversation or time. It is almost always triggered by physical space. Enter Dr. Cleary, a cognitive psychologist at Colorado State University. In 2012, Cleary designed a breakthrough experiment using virtual reality. She built dozens of digital worlds using the video game engine from The Sims. Participants walked through virtual art galleries, bowling alleys, and courtyards they had never seen before. Suddenly, participants reported intense waves of artificial déjà vu. Cleary had discovered the secret trigger. She called it Gestalt familiarity. She had secretly cloned the spatial geometry of earlier virtual rooms. A virtual courtyard had the exact same layout as a previously seen waiting room. The walls were different colors. The objects were completely different shapes. But the underlying blueprint was mathematically identical. Your eyes see a new room, but your brain recognizes the hidden grid. Why would your brain prioritize abstract geometry over obvious visual details? Because early human survival depended on instant spatial mapping. When your rhinal cortex detects a familiar layout, it fires its recognition alarm immediately. But when your hippocampus searches for the specific memory, it comes up empty. You cannot remember the earlier room because you did not consciously store it. The result is a surreal cognitive collision. You feel raw, powerful familiarity, stripped of any actual content. You feel like you have been here before because mathematically, you have. For years, scientists assumed this collision was caused by a minor brain glitch. They thought it was a neurological error, like a computer dropping a frame. But in 2016, neuroscientist Akira O'Connor at the University of St. Andrews proved everyone wrong. O'Connor placed human subjects inside a functional MRI scanner. He used advanced word association puzzles to trigger déjà vu on demand. Scientists watched the monitors, expecting the hippocampus to light up, but the memory center of the brain remained completely dark. Instead, a totally different region erupted with electrical activity. It was the prefrontal cortex. This is the region behind your forehead, responsible for logic and decision-making. Most importantly, the prefrontal cortex is your brain's error-checking department. What does this mean for that eerie sensation in your chest? Déjà vu is not a memory error at all. It is your brain's security system catching an error in real time. Your frontal brain sees the familiarity alarm firing from the temporal lobe. It looks at your immediate surroundings and realizes the alarm is false. You feel strange, precisely because your logic center is correcting your memory center. It is the feeling of your brain running a diagnostic test on itself. How often do you notice the background software keeping your mind intact? This discovery explains why déjà vu follows a predictable lifespan. Children rarely experience it before the age of 8 or 9. Their brain networks are still building their basic reference libraries. But between the ages of 15 and 25, déjà vu rates skyrocket. During young adulthood, your brain is teeming with dopamine and rapid-fire neural connections. Your error-checking software is running at maximum sensitivity. It catches every tiny timing discrepancy between your eyes and your memory. But as you pass the age of 40, the frequency drops off sharply. By the time humans reach 60, déjà vu becomes extremely rare. This is not because older brains make fewer memory mistakes. It is because the frontal lobe becomes less aggressive at flagging them. An older brain simply lets the false familiarity slide without sounding the alarm. So why did evolution preserve such an unsettling experience? Look back 300,000 years to our Pleistocene ancestors. Early humans lived in constantly shifting, highly dangerous environments. If a hunter walked into a canyon that shared the geometry of an ambush site, hesitation meant death. The brain needed an instant, visceral signal to demand attention. Déjà vu forces you to pause, scan your surroundings, and question reality. It pulls you out of autopilot and drops you into hypervigilance. It is an evolutionary speed bump designed to keep you alive. But there is an even deeper layer to the mystery. Why does déjà vu sometimes come with the feeling that you can predict the future? Many people swear they know what will happen next during an episode. Dr. Cleary tested this exact sensation in her virtual reality labs. She asked subjects experiencing déjà vu to guess which way the virtual path would turn. Their accuracy rate was exactly 50%. That is no better than random chance. Your brain is not seeing into the future at all. Instead, the false familiarity signal is bleeding into your predictive processing. Because the present moment feels like a memory, your brain assumes it knows the ending. It is an illusion of foresight caused by an illusion of hindsight. Why are we so eager to believe our minds are magical? Perhaps because the mechanical truth feels almost too delicate to accept. Every moment you experience is constructed from electrical pulses in the dark. Your skull is a sealed vault that never sees light or hears sound. It relies entirely on sensory dispatches to build a coherent world. Most of the time, that construction is so smooth, you forget it is happening. You trust your perception as an absolute reflection of truth. But déjà vu pulls back the curtain on the performance. It shows you the seams in the tapestry of human consciousness. It reminds you that memory is not a fixed monument in stone. It is a fragile, dynamic process that requires constant oversight. You are watching three distinct brain networks negotiate what is real. The temporal lobe offers a feeling, the hippocampus searches for data, and the prefrontal cortex delivers the verdict. Without that constant internal audit, we would be lost in our own hallucinations. People with damage to their frontal error-checking systems face a terrifying reality. They refuse to watch the news because they believe they have seen every broadcast before. They stop speaking to friends because every conversation feels rehearsed. Their brains have lost the ability to separate the present from the past. It is a condition known as déjà vécu, or already lived. For them, the timeline of life has collapsed into a permanent loop. That is what your consciousness would look like without your brain's security system. Your ability to feel that brief, eerie disorientation is a gift. It is the signature of a healthy mind actively protecting its own integrity. Could it be that our glitches are actually our greatest safeguards? We spend our lives terrified of losing our minds to time. We worry about the memories that slip away as we age, but we rarely appreciate the quiet miracle of knowing what is happening right now. The next time you walk into a strange room and feel that familiar shiver, pause. Do not look for ghosts or wonder about past lives. Do not try to guess what the person beside you will say next. Instead, listen to the quiet hum of your own neurology. You are listening to your brain running a live security scan on reality. You are not trapped in a loop or seeing a glimpse of the future. You are just feeling the friction of your own mind, guarding you against illusion. Because the only thing more miraculous than remembering the past is knowing you are in the present.